Hey y'all, Evalectivire here, and in this countdown, I'm paying my respects to the grandfather of all video games, Nintendo. They are the saviors that saved the entire video game industry from kicking the bucket 30 years ago. Without Nintendo, many of our favorite video games we know and love today would have never existed. So, to give my thanks to them, I'm sharing with you my top 10 favorite Nintendo games. These aren't console specific, but I'll mention the corresponding console for each entry. And of course, this list cannot be done with the one game per franchise rule. It's as impossible as playing a Street Fighter game without Ryu as a playable character. It can't be done. If y'all enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and share this video with a buddy. Oh, and don't forget to let me know what your favorite games are from the greatest video game company of all time in the comment section below. And with that being said, let's get started. Number 10, Wario Land, Super Mario Land 3 for the Game Boy. This was one of my very first Game Boy games that I've ever played. It's fun, addictive, challenging, and not to mention that it has one of the most creative soundtracks for any handheld game. Wario himself was a character that was pretty tough to get used to. He's the bad half of Mario, but he's the funnier half as well. The humor in the game is enjoyable, and it doesn't make the game boring at all, even without color. The only hard part about the entire game is collecting every hidden treasure. I did do it eventually, just 3 years ago, even though I've been playing it since I was a preteen, but it's still so much fun to play. I love it. Number 9, Kirby Tilt and Tumble for the Game Boy Color. I'm not sure if this is the game that introduced motion technology to the video game industry, but it should have that written in its resume because it's that legendary. Kirby Tilt and Tumble is an adorable game where you get to move him without barely pressing any buttons. Once you turn it on, you have to set it flat for just a few seconds before you can start it. But the trick is that you have to press start while keeping it flat. You can't pick it up until afterwards, which isn't hard really. Also, you can't play it on your Game Boy Advance SP because you can't play it flat. Trust me, I tried. It's a very challenging game despite its cutesy appearance, and you just might break a huge sweat trying to beat every level. Just have patience, good accuracy, and a kung fu grip on your Game Boy Color, and it's like butter. Super smooth. Number 8, Pokemon Crystal for the Game Boy Color. This takes the number 8 spot because it's the very first Pokemon game I've ever played. I was literally clueless about Pokemon until I played this game. It made me curious, and 20 years later, I'm hooked and totally psyched about Pokemon Sun and Moon. At this point, playing Pokemon Crystal feels awkward since I've been playing Omega Ruby for the longest time. But it still gives me total nostalgia every time. My favorite Pokemon on there? The entire Typhlosion line. Cyndaquil, Quilava, and Typhlosion are all just awesome Pokemon, and I'll never ever trade my favorite fire types for anybody. Number 7, Super C for the Nintendo Entertainment System. I'll admit it, I've never played the first Contra until just about 4 years ago, and I didn't like it as much as Super C. This was one of the first NES games that I've ever played back when I was little. My dad helped me out with it and I was hooked on it ever since. But I wasn't able to actually beat the game. You know how difficult those games were for the NES back in the day. No save points meant no chance at beating it when you get game over. But now that I can play it on Virtual Console on both my Wii U and my 3DS with the ability to create restore points wherever I want, beating it is possible. And it felt good to finally use my favorite Super Shot power-up all the way through. I also finally learned that Super C is a pretty long game, now that I actually got to beat it. Yikes. I still love the game nonetheless. Number 6, Super Monkey Ball 2 for the GameCube. As I mentioned in my top 10 favorite PlayStation 2 games video, this was the game that made me fall in love with those adorable monkeys. Even though it was only for a short while that I got to play it on the GameCube, it was still loads of fun to play. This game's story mode is much more challenging, and they literally only give you 10 levels on each world instead of the pick your own level technique Deluxe had when it had 20 levels to choose from. Also, unlocking the mini games was the most challenging part, since I really wanted to play them the most. My all-time favorite minigame to play is Monkey Billiards. I'm no good at actual pool in real life, but Monkey Billiards kind of teaches me the fundamentals of the sport. I'll need to practice more in real life pool. Hey, at least I can beat my 2 sisters and my niece to Monkey Billiards. I'm that good. Number 5, Super Mario Bros. For the NES. This game has to be in the top 5 somewhere. There's literally not much I can say about it. It's the game that saved the video game industry from the dreaded video game crash of 1983. All thanks to our favorite plumber, Mario. You cannot hate this game and the man within it. 30 years on this job and he's still going strong in many more of his games today, even in the numerous spin-offs. Super Mario Bros. Is the game to have, whether you're brand new to it or an old timer like myself. Trust me, newbies, you'll love it at first sight. Just give it a few tries and you'll enjoy it, even after you get your first game over. Number 4, Conker's Bad Fur Day for the Nintendo 64. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why not Super Mario 64? Well, I do love that game, but I prefer Conker because of the adult humor and the graphics. This was also the first M-rated game for a Nintendo console that I've ever played. Of course, I didn't start playing it until I was old enough. Once I did though, I was hooked. As you play through it, it's pretty amazing how much can happen to a single character in a single day. When night falls, that's when it gets much more challenging with those scary teddy bears. The funniest part was near the end when Conker kind of breaks the 4th wall by talking to the computer programmer of the game in order to alter the outcome of the ending. Although it's kind of sad that he forgot to revive his girlfriend, it was still funny to watch. I was hoping for a sequel, but all we got was the much more censored remake of it on the Xbox. Ugh. The graphics were better, but I still prefer the original. Number 3, Mario Kart 8 for the Wii U. The best Mario Kart game ever. It has everything every single previous Mario Kart had, plus the kitchen sink. Constantly playing long after unlocking everything is an exhilarating experience each and every time, and the graphics are too good to ignore. You can't hate this game. Of course, the big plus side is that you get to have Link from The Legend of Zelda as a playable racer, along with Isabelle and the Villager from Animal Crossing. The downside to this game is pretty minor, having Pink Gold Peach as a playable character. Many of us were complaining about that lately. Where the hell did she come from? That character slot could have been used for someone much more valuable to the Mario character lineup, like Bowser Jr., for instance. Since we have baby versions of the other main characters, why not Bowser Jr. in Bowser's case? I mean, I know that technically Bowser Jr. is Bowser's son, but come on! I still love you, Nintendo. Just do better when you decide to create Mario Kart 9 or something along those lines. Number 2, Super Mario 3D World for the Wii U. 2 words. Catsuit. Nah, I'm just kidding. There's much more for me to say besides that. This game is one that'll never get old to me. Even though I've beaten it so many times, I've lost count. Yep, it's another one of those games that's a favorite of mine. Just like with Mario Kart 8, the graphics cannot be beat on here, and every single level is super fun. Even with the extremely hard Champion Road. I have yet to beat it, but I get closer and closer to it each time I try. I did beat the hardest Captain Toad level and the longest Mystery House though. One of these days, I'll be able to beat Champion Road, but for now, it's all about just playing this game as the best way to pass the time. Before I get to my number 1 pick, here are a few honorable mentions. Pipe Dream for the Nintendo Entertainment System. This is a rare game in the NES library, and I just so happen to have it long enough to love it. Now, the only way I can play it is through an emulator on my computer right now, but it's still the same. Connecting those pipes is very challenging, and having it being a puzzle game, you know how that touches my heart. I practically grew up playing this game, and I started playing it long before I knew about Tetris, even though that was released before Pipe Dream. Pokemon Omega Ruby for the Nintendo 3DS. I'm literally playing it every single day now, and my Pokemon are in tip-top shape because of it. So far, I have the best legendary team for my online battles only. Palkia, Zekrom, Giratina, Diancie, Yveltal, and White Kyurem. I have yet to truly have the best Battle Myosin team because I have so many different teams to use. But there's one thing in common with all of them. Klefki's Prankster. Cannot have a team without it. Super Super Mario 64 for the Nintendo 64. If it's not going to be in my list, it might as well be an honorable mention. This is the Mario game that revolutionized 3D gaming as we know it today. Back then, it was a really big deal when it was first released. Many critics praised it for its advanced graphics that nobody's ever thought of before, and it makes Mario himself look good. The levels are challenging, but that's what makes it so much fun. Lastly, you can't help but love the music of the game as well. Just listen to that sweet tune. Brings back memories. Super Mario All-Stars for the Super Nintendo. It's the only game where I got a chance to play Super Mario Bros. 2, even if it's being dubbed as one of the worst Mario games of all time by so many critics. It's got all my previous favorites slightly enhanced in every way, including the iconic music. So Super Mario World is also included in this entry as well because of that factor. Super Mario Land 2 for the Game Boy. Just like with Wario Land, it's an outstanding game to play without color. I haven't played the first Super Mario Land yet, but I will eventually. I have seen it though. I prefer this one over it any day. No offense to those who like it, I'm just being honest. Super Mario Sunshine for the Nintendo GameCube. I love this game for everything. The graphics, the story, the FLUDD, F-L-U-D-D, just everything. Although I haven't actually beaten the game yet, I still enjoy it nonetheless. It's extremely hard, even with Yoshi added to the mix. Bowser Jr.'s really crossed the line in this one when it comes to having him disguising himself as an evil version of our favorite plumber. But that's what makes the whole game so engaging and entertaining all at once. Yoshi's Island for the Super Nintendo. Thought I was gonna say Yoshi's New Island, didn't you? Don't lie. I prefer the original over the new because it was slightly easier than Yoshi's New Island, and it's so cute to boot. It's one of those games where it's harder than it looks. Don't let the cutesy appearance fool you. It will haunt you at night if you do. Yoshi's Woolly World for the Wii U. An entire game made out of craft supplies like yarn and sheets is just an amazing idea since Kirby's Epic Yarn. That game started the trend, but Woolly World perfected it. This is also my first Mario game with only Yoshi as the main star that I've ever played. It's truly special to me, and it's extra special with the amiibo I got with it. It's adorable, and the graphics, once again, are top notch, especially with this game being made entirely out of yarn. Freedom Planet for the Wii U. This nearly takes the top spot, but it's been dethroned by just a smidge. Created as an indie game exclusively for the Wii U, Freedom Planet is a brand new game with an old school nostalgic feel to all of those old time Sega Genesis players out there, including myself. It's got everything your typical Sonic game back in the 90s had, and then some. The characters are all awesome. The story puts Sonic's everyday story to shame, and its colorful appearance makes it a game that's never boring to play. This is also the game that officially dethroned Spyro as my favorite purple dragon, thanks to the main character named Lilac. Her design is badass, and I just love playing as her every time. Sure, I can play as her two friends, Mila and Carol, but I prefer Lilac because she's the purple dragon that can do it all. Well, except breathe fire. Spyro can do that. I do love both of those purple dragons though. Now, finally, on to number 1. Number 1, Super Mario Bros. 3 for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Not only is this my all-time favorite Nintendo game, it's also my all-time favorite video game ever. I love this game more than Tekken, more than Street Fighter, more than Sonic the Hedgehog, more than Spyro, even more than Pokemon. It's the one game where it'll never ever get boring to me, and it just touches my heart. This was also the first Mario game I've ever beaten from start to finish on the original NES version on that console. Not on the emulator, not on Virtual Console on my Wii U or 3DS, on the NES. It's that special to me. It's the best Mario game in the world, even better than the first that saved the video game industry. Simply because it's got advanced graphics that you wouldn't expect to see on the NES. I love it so much. Thank you all so much for watching this video celebrating more than 30 years of the greatest video game company of all time. Please do leave a like, subscribe, and share with me what your favorite Nintendo games are in the comment section below. Before I end it though, let me just say that after seeing their newest console/handheld hybrid system called the Switch, I'm totally excited about it. They're about to make history once again with this one. PlayStation couldn't do it, Xbox couldn't do it, Nintendo did it. And I'm pretty sure PlayStation and Xbox will have something to answer to that. Y'all have a blessed day, stay positive, stay electric, and be kind to everyone. Evalectivire out. Deuces!